first of all, just not responding directly to that question. I think what the position that's been created by your initial is that immigration is a fundamental problem. Immigration, there's two sides to this story, and this is what you talk about fairness. So let's mention, for example, the economic impact that shows, our own statistics South Africa show, that each immigrant that is having a business here employs at least 3 to 4 people, contributes taxes. Nobody ever talks about that. We never talk about the dysfunctionality of Home Affairs in terms of its documentation crisis, where most people who are deemed, quote, illegal are simply without documentation. We don't talk about the 4 million South African citizens who are undocumented, who have to wait years for their documentation. What about them? What about, it's a documentation crisis, it's a systemic crisis. And what we're saying is, we recognize, I wonder why, for example, there was no mention of the Kopanang Africa Against Xenophobia march, which happened 2 weeks ago in this very city with hundreds and hundreds of people with the different kind of message. We don't talk about these things. So we're creating a very similar kind of thing to the United States, which is this anger that is then directed towards those who, by the way, built this city that we're very much in. Migrants built this city from Mozambique and Zimbabwe, miners who worked here, who created much of the wealth of the city we live in. And now we're trying to blame them for all of these ills, when in fact, if we start looking at the factual information about joblessness, there's no statistical evidence, there's no evidence that suggests that foreign nationals are taking away many jobs. What we have is we have a macroeconomic policy that basically privileges corporate capital and big investments and doesn't support small-scale township economies. So if, for example, you even kick out all the spaza shop owners tomorrow and say all the foreign nationals are in, and every single South African citizen, would those small-scale businesses survive because of our own policies? No. You ask a South African spaza shop owner, they're facing exactly the same problems. So instead of making this an immigration foreign citizen issue, we should make it a governance issue, a policy issue, and politicians have a lot to answer for, because that's where people are protesting. Water, electricity, education, health, housing. Those can't be blamed on foreign nationals who make up, by the way, less than 4% of our population.